An organ transplant that happened this week at a Colorado hospital has suddenly focused the spotlight on whether it is okay to pay someone to donate an organ to you. There's a new website that helps people do just that, which means it allows them to bypass the national donor list. Is that right? And is it fair? The website is called MatchingDonors.com. Dr. Jeremiah Lowney is the website's medical director. Dr. Mark Ader is on the other side. He is part of the national donor list called UNIS, or the United Network for Organ Sharing. He serves on the Ethics Committee. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Hello.
Dr. Lowney, start with you. In fairness, you have said you started this with one of your patients to do something good for other people. And when we talk about paying for the organ, you know, in this case of the surgery, it wasn't sort of some lump sum. It was specifically for expenses and so on. Will you explain?
Yeah, it really wasn't paying for an organ. It was paying for the expenses of getting that organ transplant surgery completed. It's all completely legal as far as the payments that came out. I think Mr. Hickey, who was the
recipient
organ
in
recipient,
Colorado. Yeah. Here he is, by the way.
Yep, he paid for the flight for Mr. Smitty, who was the donor.
Mm-hmm.
He also paid for the hotel room and lost wages, which is completely legal. There was no payment for the organ itself.
Okay, Dr. Ader, some people say that this is a method that they have to resort to because even though you have UNIS, this national list, that thousands of people die every year waiting for organ transplants, and that people are looking for another way to save some lives.
Well, there's certainly been a lot of publicity, a lot of PR and news spots, media events to stress the importance of organ donation. But I think we need to go back and to understand what UNOS does. UNOS is an organization which has a contract under the Organ Transplant Act in 1984 to stop individuals from sharing or placing organs just with those individuals who had the means to publicly promote themselves or had the access to the media. What UNOS does is it is responsible for the fair and equitable allocation of organs across the United States, irregardless of anybody's social standing, their race, their religion. It's to justify utility for equal organ sharing. When an organ becomes available, everybody has an equal opportunity to be able to achieve that organ. There's no bypassing.
True, but some critics of UNIS have said that that UNIS has not really actively promoted living donors. And that because it doesn't, this website was created to reach out to maybe to even make the people aware of this situation so there might be more living donors.
Well, when UNOS was created, most of the living donor transplants performed in the United States were generally within the family, either a parent to a child, vice versa, or in between siblings. The rise in living donation occurred over the 90s, and then the rise in what we call living unrelated donation really took off over the past 5 years. This is aggressively addressed by UNOS in terms of trying to protect the donors. There's a good opportunity here for exploitation.
I have a question for Dr. Lowney. When you talk about exploitation, you know, looking at this at the donor match that you had this week, did you investigate to make sure no other money changed hands between these two men?
We don't do any background checks on donors or the potential recipients. What Matching Donors does is we've created a site that gives people in need of organ transplants an active way of pursuing that transplant instead of just passively waiting on an ever-growing list. There's over 80,000 people on that waiting list. Right. And 17 people a day die while waiting on that list. So this gives people an active way of pursuing their organ. And as far as money is concerned, there is a fee to come on the site as a patient. If you can afford the fee, you pay it. If you can't afford the fee, we get you on anyway. It works as more of an honor system. Yeah. Okay. So we're not, there's no payment of organs here.
Just a question to the audience. Do you think that this is possibly a good idea, yes or no? Yes. Do you think that there needs to be more investigation to keep it from abuse? Yes. Okay, gentlemen, we thank you.